South pursuit on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day. Kids got their quizzes and I've got a day.
Well, welcome to Schenectady today, in and around the capital region. We are so happy that you're joining us today. We've got a really informative show today. I think you're really going to get a lot out of it, and I hope that you'll sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and enjoy some of our guests. We're going to be talking about nutrition and the importance of a Mediterranean diet. We'll also be talking about a big event that's coming up at Proctor's called 518 Talks, which has to do with community. And they're from all over the capital region, his guest for the show. We're going to be going over to Troy next and talking about the Troy Turkey Trot. And I think our guest will be trotting onto the stage, talking about the 71st Troy Turkey Trot. Say that 3 times fast, right? And then we're going to be talking about Peter Jones and the Concern for the Hungry. They do, I guess, 10,000 turkey meals a year. So we'll find out about how you can help by volunteering. And then we're going to be taking a step to talk about community hospice and bereavement and how they help. And they have their workshops and they have ways of helping you through difficult times. And then we're going to be talking about solarize the capital region and why it's important to maybe think of an alternative power source. So we'll be talking about that. And I do want to tell you, our breaks today, years ago, Risha helped me with the show, and she did a film on her transition from India to Canada. She came from India to Canada and how difficult it was for her, and this is her documentary, so we're showing a little bit of that. It's quite good and kind of makes you realize what it's like to change from one environment to another. But we're going to talk about a food environment now, right, Lester?
Yes, we are.
Good to see you. You're
Thank
from
you.
the Cornell Cooperative Extension, and we're going to be talking about nutrition. You talk about nutrition for seniors. How important is the Mediterranean diet?
Well, the Mediterranean diet is representative of the folks that live in the Mediterranean area.
Yeah, which my family came from that area, yeah.
Yeah, Italy, Greece, islands, things like that. And, but they're not the only group that has healthy eating habits. Mm-hmm. You know, there's an Asian diet plan.
The Asian diet, the Japanese,
there's all kinds
the
of
Chinese.
good ways to eat.
I've been to China, and I'll tell you, there's nothing bad on that plate, on those tables. I mean, it's like 90% vegetables and fish and, you know, good stuff.
Our Western diet has a lot of issues.
Well, I think the issues come from advertising and fast food.
Kind of our way of life, convenience
we
foods,
simply,
out of a can, out of a box.
And I just saw a commercial the other day, and it says, well, treat your family to the choices. And I'm going, oh, I wonder what the choices are. And it's like, you know, rolled up pizza things and the pizza and the wings and this, and it's like, where's the vegetables? Yeah, so Mediterranean does lean towards vegetables and beans.
Yes, it emphasizes fresh fruits and vegetables, lentils and beans. I have samples of things here. Basically, I got them from my cabinet at home.
Hey, that's good.
Plus some
a little
red
wine. A little red wine. It should be red, I guess, I understand.
And
red is the one you get, so what came out of your cupboard there? Let's take a look. Do you have couscous there? Is that what is that? I can tell.
Actually quinoa.
Quinoa.
Quinoa type of whole grain.
Is quinoa a good substitute for, say, rice, or can you throw it in soups?
Sure, and it's high in protein and high in fiber too.
Yeah, I tend to throw things like that into soups, like barley. I use a lot of barley. I love barley.
Barley's excellent.
Yeah.
Actually, any whole grains and grains, period. I mean, we have, you know, spaghetti and different kinds of pasta here, which are very good.
Well, they use the whole whete now. They use a lot of whole
grains.
Wheat,
yeah. This isn't necessarily whole wheat, but it's high in soluble fiber, which
that's what you need.
Helps absorb cholesterols in our gut. There's seafood. I don't have fresh seafood here, but things like sardines, canned tuna, salmon.
I love tuna.
Is all good.
I love tuna. Of course, I use it with a little mayonnaise. You know, you got.
Whether you make a sandwich with it, mayonnaise is fine.
Yeah.
That's an oil.
Yeah.
What we want to limit is the hard fats, like butter.
And what's the controversy now in coconut oil?
Well, it's not a new controversy, but coconut oil is high in saturated fat.
It is.
And that's one of the fats that raises our blood cholesterol.
I don't quite understand that, because when you start reading, it's like, this is the healthy fat, this is that, and I thought, it's a saturated fat, how can it be healthy? So I kind of like, where did that come from?
Well, it has nice flavors and everything,
Okay.
and you know, use it like you would butter, sparingly.
Yeah. I guess it's good for the skin.
That too, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do I have here? Olive oil.
I love olive oil,
is
yeah, it's my
supreme.
favorite.
Canola oil is a good oil too to use.
Okay.
Besides, soybean oil is very popular. It's high on omega-6s, which we don't need that much of.
Yeah.
We're eating too many of those. Nuts and seeds.
Is any nut better than the other? I mean, I love pistachio nuts. They probably aren't as good as walnuts, though.
Probably not
almonds.
as good as walnuts and almonds as far as the omega-3s.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is what the Mediterranean diet is all about, the omega-3 fatty acids in the fish oils and the oils and the antioxidants that you get from colors and vegetables.
And we always say, look for the colorful food. Put colorful plates on.
Definitely.
They just put the pyramid up on the screen there.
All right. Yeah, and if you look at the pyramid.
Yeah, can we bring the pyramid? There's the pyramid.
There it is. You see meats and.
That's that little pile
meats
up on
are
top.
at the top with sweets, meats and sweets.
Okay.
Limit those a couple of times a week. Chicken, eggs, other dairy products, fine. Low-fat dairy for the most part. You know, people can adapt this style or these choices one at a time. It's not something that...
I'm so glad I grew up with them. Because I grew up with this
Easy for
diet.
you,
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I think nothing of opening up a can of garbanzos and adding a little of roasted red peppers to them.
Sure,
and,
mixing them in a salad is
yeah.
wonderful,
Yeah.
or in soup.
Or just eating them straight.
Just eating them, yeah. Making hummus out of
hummus, yeah.
out of chickpeas and
Yep.
things. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So these are the foods that I grew up with. So it's like nothing to think about that. We did not eat a lot of meat either, you know, because it was, well, at the time it was hard to get, but then I just never developed a taste for a lot of meat. But
Yeah.
I do try and eat a little bit because I know I need the protein.
And, you know, most of us are not going to get away from eating meat.
Yeah.
But if you can eat less of it,
Yeah.
3 ounces.
Especially the red meats.
And 3 ounces is a typical serving.
Yeah.
Not a one pound sirloin.
Don't you just love the ads from some of these restaurants where you can get an 18-ounce steak? It's like, what do you do with an 18-ounce steak except feed 10 people or something?
You could.
Yeah, you could if you sliced it thin and put it on a little.
Hopefully you're not eating it that often.
Can you believe that? So what you really are here to is to encourage people to look at a Mediterranean diet or these types of foods.
Look at some of these foods and start incorporating them into your menu.
Yeah. Now you also mentioned, I know that you do nutrition for seniors. Is this like a program that you do that you can share with people, or what? How does that?
Actually, not only do I work with seniors, I work with people with disabilities.
Okay.
I work with the Schenectady ARC.
Oh, good, yeah.
We have a United Way grant, so I'm doing education with those folks.
And I know even I've talked to people with from the Regional Food Bank and also many of these food pantries, and they get some great vegetables, and the biggest problem is a lot of people look at them, they don't know what to do with the only vegetable I'm not sure of is salsify. Salsify, is that what it's pronounced? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it looks like a carrot, but it's white or something, and that's the only thing I've never fixed. I have no idea what to do.
Well, we have the Eat Smart New York program, and we have nutritionists in our office that actually teach hands-on cooking to groups, young mothers.
Well, if you just
and things
know
like
how
that.
to fix these foods, as some people have never learned.
Easy recipes.
Yeah.
And the hands-on is very important. A lot of people don't know how to cook. Kids are growing up now, and they don't know much about cooking.
No,
and
they think you just go to the fast food place and get your meal, right? Yeah.
Out of a box.
Yeah, it's too bad. But listen, what I think Lester has done is it's kind of raised our awareness of how important the Mediterranean diet is for us, and to get our get protein and get the right fats in your body. Fats are not bad. Carbohydrates are not bad. You just have to use everything in moderation because your body needs all of this.
Right, and we also need a certain amount of sugar in our diet.
Absolutely.
But we tend to eat too many foods with added sugars, and we may not even know
that you're
we're
getting
doing
it.
it.
Like you get cereal and you think, well, I think maybe I'll put sugar on it. Maybe there's sugar already in it.
And especially sodas and drinks that are high in sugar. Eat Smart New York has a campaign with that and promoting different types of drinks.
Water
just
to me is my favorite. I mean, I like water.
Adding lemon to water, or adding cut fruit to water, kinds of things to flavor up. Seltzer.
Limes, seltzer, I'm a water person. So, Lester, thanks for coming and raising awareness, especially with this holidays coming up. People are starting to think about being able to get into that dress for the holidays, but they go to parties and you know what happens. Lots of high-calorie foods there.
And I just did an article on that too, to go out to Meals on Wheels.
Good.
Stuff on that.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
It's always a
Thank you.
pleasure to have you on the show. We're going to take a quick break, take a look at Risha's coming to America, or to Canada, and then we're going to be speaking about 518 Talk. Stay tuned. Good.
Life takes us to all kinds of places. I came to Peterborough with my husband in December 2005, and I was shocked of the silence, the lonely streets, and the humongous amount of snow. The houses looked perfect, beautiful, but felt as foreign to me as the people who lived in them. The peace, stillness felt strange. Nothing here was familiar, nothing except the sky. This was how I began my journey to Peterborough, which was going to be my home for the next few years. This was
filmmaker, actually, and she did a documentary which was quite good, telling the transition. But right now we're talking with William Rivas. And William, I hear a lot about you and how you're involved in the community. You do the Save Our Streets. You did a big telethon with that, raising money. But this is really a great premise that you're doing, 518 Talks. You got some good speakers. And how does Brendan help you?
Brendan is a wonderful sounding board. Whenever I have an idea, or there's something that's kind of on my mind, Brendan is a gentleman I can kind of go to and just bounce ideas off of him. And this just happened to be one of the ideas that stuck. So.
Yeah, the 518, you brought in a number of speakers. Let's talk about the speakers that you're bringing in and how they are involved in the community and what they offer to people that are going to sit there in the audience and listen to them.
Yeah. One of our first speakers is Mr. John Scott, the co-founder of Fourth Family in Albany. And his program is absolutely amazing. The work he's doing, utilizing STEM through basketball and sports in the city of Albany. He has a program with the NBA he's been working with. He had an NBA champion, Quinn Cook, come here and do STEM through basketball at the YMCA. He does a lot of work with the school district, empowering youth. He does a youth march annually every year, Martin Luther King March. So that work is absolutely inspirational, something that, someone can come up with something like that in the city of Albany and take it nationally.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Did Brendan help you get some of these people, or did you?
That was all Will.
It was all Will. Okay.
He's got all the connections.
He's got all the connections. Okay, good. And you have Maya on, a friend of mine.
Yes, yeah. Maam Mcnulty, absolutely a branding and marketing expert.
Yeah.
The work she does, the way she utilizes social media, fundraising secrets, the way she inspires people and helps them tailor their message to create true impact in business is absolutely amazing.
And she just was a speaker at Summit America, the leadership summit. Sharon Burstein's big event. So
Yes.
yeah, so she's quite well known in the community.
Yeah, and because we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the Capital Region District, it's important that they hear the information that she has to offer. So that's why I felt like for our launch event, it was important to have someone like her.
And then you got Trent coming on, and Trent's been on the show. What an entrepreneur he is.
Yeah, Trent Griffin, individual I grew up with, coming from the community, homegrown, made some bad decisions when he was younger, changed his life around, and now he is using, what he learned to kind of inspire people. So, as the owner of Tech Valley Shuttle, it's great that he has a business, but the way he speaks in the schools and speaks kind of throughout the Capital Region to
He's a
mentor
mentor.
people. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. And who else do you have? We only had the 3 photos, so I think they had them up, but I'm not sure.
I'm doing the announcement for my 4th guest later today, live on social media, because I've reached out to a lot of people. We have a lot of wonderful people that we could have. So,
well, you're going to do this more than once, so
absolutely,
you'll have that
yes.
opportunity.
So we'll have more speakers come down the line, but we'll have a special guest that will be saying later on today.
Okay. Oh, well, okay. So this is like a... going to show us. Okay. Brendan, how easy is it to set up for this in the GE Theater at Proctor's?
Yeah, how easy is it to set up?
Are you going to be filming it?
We will be filming it, yes, and
Okay.
it will be broadcast on OSM at a
Okay.
later date, and we'll make it available for Will's YouTube channel and all of that as well. We had some hoops to jump through, but there's nothing out of the ordinary really. It was just a matter of knowing like the right person to talk to and ask the right questions and that kind of thing. Will is. Our relationship with Will is kind of a testament to what I think OSM can do for people in the community that want to create their own shows and do something that benefits the community. So he comes to us with a really great, ambitious idea, and then it's on us, and in this case on me, to find a way to facilitate that. So that's really what I like to do. That's really what I think.
You're the
OSM
conduit.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Open Stage Media, it tries to be a conduit and a platform for people who have these ideas. Not unlike you with your show here, you are responsible for getting all the guests and for having this awesome crew of volunteers. And we just try to give you the stage and the equipment and resources that you need in order to make
And we
your mission
appreciate it.
happen.
Believe me, we
And
appreciate it.
It's no different than it is with what Will does. He has his own regular talk show that he does in our normal studio downstairs. That's at this point almost completely run by students from the Schenectady School District and
that's
other areas in the
wonderful.
Capital
Yeah.
Region. So there will be 1 or 2 kids who will host it. We have some kids who are interested in running cameras. I've been training some to learn how to run the switcher. and
Wonderful,
direct.
wonderful.
So it's all completely.
You know how much I
unknown.
love this
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So to get back to your original question, it's just an opportunity to show what we can do personally as an access station and a platform for people to express their ideas, but also to do a really good for the entire community for people to benefit from.
So-
And on top of that, there's a portion of the tickets. Every ticket that we sell is going, with each event that we do, will go to a different local charity.
Nonprofit.
And so-
Nice,
to a
nice.
nonprofit. And so, Will, why don't you tell them about the first one that will be benefiting from the event next Tuesday night?
The first one that we chose to donate to is going to be the Cocoa House.
I know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing place, an amazing program. And the youth in the community, the families, the response has been absolutely amazing. So when we sat down with the team, it was kind of, that was the choice for the very first one.
Yeah, and there's so many to choose from. There are so many great organizations that are trying to do good things for our youth and for people with disabilities. I mean, there's so much need out there, and it's wonderful that you've picked the Cocoa House. I know I've had them on my show before. So when you say this, Brendan, I mean, we've had guests on the show here. Well, for today, for instance, we got Community Hospice. If they wanted to do a show to talk about what they do, they could actually do a weekly show or a monthly show or whatever. I'm just picking on you. I'm sorry, Allison.
But no, that would be a great example. You could do something about some kind of health-centric, for instance, and for elder care or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
They just come set an appointment with us, talk about their ideas. We sort of kind of try to take some time to hash out how they want the studio to look, what kind of furniture they would like to use, how long the format would be.
You work with them. That's the bottom line. You guys work with them.
We work with them. We always want to give people, if there is a genuine interest, we want to try and make it happen.
And you want it to look good.
Yes.
You want. I know he helps with the show, and it's like, oh my God, get the camera over there, and you're not thinking. So we're used to Brendan. So anyway, with it, I want to first of all compliment you on what you're doing.
Thank you.
Can I call you Will? Is that
William? Will's fine.
William? Okay. I want to compliment you on what you're doing because it's so important for us to step up as citizenry and to take on a project that is helping the community. And saving our streets certainly is a big thing. And the streets everywhere, or the streets Schenectady, where?
Well,
where are those streets?
It originally started in Schenectady. Me, myself, and my family. We originally started kind of doing the work in Schenectady, but we have been expanding our efforts into kind of creating partnerships and collaborations in Albany and Troy. And the
I can't imagine you
just
just sitting back and doing one spot, one area. You just are not the type to do that. You're going to just be out there doing stuff. So.
It's interesting. Everybody says that.
Well, it must be true. Good. I want to thank you both for being here, and thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you so much for what you're doing, Brendan. I see him every week, but I have to say this man is really dedicated to bringing great shows into our community and to be helpful. And that's the important thing, the helpful part.
Yes.
Good. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about that Troy turkey trot. Yeah, I don't know what streets they're trotting on, but we're going to find out, right?
We'll find out.
Stay tuned. Okay, great. Good. Good guest.
Thank you.
Glad I finally met you.
Thank you.
Good.
We're all part of life. All through the year, this was how the market outside my home in New Delhi looked. I didn't know I would miss this so much. I had got married 2 weeks before moving to Peterborough. The 22 people in my family lived in the same house in New Delhi. My grandfather, my parents, uncles and aunts.
Well, if you've never seen an Indian wedding, there it is. You're seeing part of it right there. But George is not going to be talking about weddings today. He's going to be talking about running, right?
Yes.
You're not running from a wedding, but running whatever.
I'm running
the
Troy Turkey Trot.
Turkey Trot, there we go.
Troy
and he's
Turkey
got his
Trot.
sign on there. And this says 69th, but really that's wrong because it's the 71st. So tell me.
Old clothing.
Yeah, and you can wear it costumes.
We try to recycle things.
Yeah, you can do costumes probably.
We do. We have a great costume contest. Last year we had 6 winners, and Hannaford funds it with prize.
Okay, good.
Well, with certificate,
for a turkey, probably.
Yeah, or whatever you want.
Whatever.
But yes, the
too
costume
late for
contest
turkeys, I
is
guess.
going on.
Yeah.
That's in the 5K. And,
Okay.
And then we have the only 10K in the area.
Okay.
And I don't know, I think you have
We're
a
going to
picture
take
of
a
the
look
course
at some of the photos
that-
there.
Yeah, the course
Yeah,
there.
it shows the course. There it is right
See,
there.
You know why everybody loves this course?
Why?
Because it's out and back along the river,
Along
no hills.
the river. Oh, no hills. Oh,
No
isn't
hills.
that great?
And you can see who's in front of you.
Like that Freihofer's run. He used to
I
have
know.
a big hill there.
Big
for,
hill.
Yeah.
Yes. You can't take the hills out, but it's a
No.
beautiful run.
Yeah.
And it's been going on since 1916, and it actually started as a way to benefit those veterans coming back from World War I.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Well, I'm
I
learning
know, isn't
something
that
right now. Yeah.
So, and it's continued with that that whole giving back.
Well, and you have benefits
idea.
as well. You benefit a
Yeah.
couple of organizations as well.
Joseph's House and Shelter is one of the charities.
And the Regional Food Bank is
associate-
the other, isn't it?
Regional Food
Yeah.
Bank, and then a lot of people
There's
don't
Joseph's
know
house
this.
right there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but there's another 17, 18 not-for-profits that are benefiting from the turkey trot.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
And they provide volunteers for us, and it's really great.
Now this is the regional food bank right here. Is that it?
Yeah, the Regional Food Bank is an incredible organization. I mean, it really took me back when I got involved with Mark Quant. And
he was on the show.
And he showed me around, and he really showed me how.
Have you been over? You saw that? Yes, an amazing building,
but
isn't
you know
it?
what I never realized? I never realized there was hunger in our area until I went over there and talked to those people. Yeah. And I saw the real need for it.
Well, and I've said to this, and I've said this, I think, to many people. I go, in the very beginning, I said, well, they get food stamps. I don't get it. They said, well, that only covers a very small portion of the month's food.
For $5, these people can give a family 5 meals.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they stretch.
They stretch it. Well, and they get a lot of donations from the big companies. You know, they change labels and they donate that food.
And most of that goes out to all of the pantries.
Exactly.
And all of the
Sick
shelters.
of my nose gets that.
You know, if it wasn't for what the Regional Food Bank does, these pantries and shelters wouldn't have any food.
Well, and we're going to be talking with Peter Jones, and I believe our next segment, to segue into that. And I believe some of that comes from the Regional Food Bank as well.
I mean, so it's really great. And so to have a community event that's been around for, well, this will be the 102nd edition of the event. As I said, it started in 1916. And have everybody down there, you know, having fun, being with their family. You know, 90% of the people in this event come from the Capital District. Yeah. And
how many from the other states?
37 states represented. And we don't go out and recruit those people.
No, they're visiting their families.
They're visiting their families on Thanksgiving. So it's really rewarding. And you know, the fact that we have the only 10K in the area, well, if you want to run a 10K, you want to burn a few more calories than doing a 5K, you have to come to Troy.
Well, and the thing is, it's before the big meal. It's a way to get out and to be, I mean, of course, somebody's got to stay home and fix that turkey, I guess. But anyway, you're out there with your family and the kids. I know Greg always used to bring his kids and they'd run in it, you know, and had a good time. It was kind of a tradition. And one of those things that if it becomes a family tradition, people look forward to it, and then they look forward to the meal and maybe a game afterwards, whatever they do.
Well, and they want to be associated with an event that's doing good in the community, and that's why we reach out to the not-for-profit community, and we try to do as much as we can.
How many runners?
8,000. 8,000 runners. And
get out! 8,000. Who counts them?
All the well, they have to register. So when they're all done registering, the race starts. We know how many are there.
Wow.
You get about, you get between a 7 to 15% attrition rate depending on the weather. But the participants are the ones that donate additional on top of their entry fee. They donate to the Regional Food Bank and Joseph's House and Shelter. And last year we raised $13,500. And this year,
this is not a paltry
Pioneer is one of our sponsors.
I saw that.
And they got so excited, they started our campaign with $2,500. So I think we can do, the participants, I think those donations, and we're already on track to have record donations. I think we can do 20,000 this year. So it's really rewarding.
Splitting it down the middle?
No, Regional Food Bank gets a little bit more.
A little bit more,
because they got such a big. And we know how many people donated to the Regional Food Bank, because we used to have them split, and you donate to the one you wanted. But now we just have it all in one pot.
Yeah, that's wonderful. George has been on. He used to get really involved with the Freihofer's Run. That's why I kind of mentioned the Freihofer's.
35 years.
Yeah, I know, 35 years.
And you and I.
Yeah, I know.
mean, since you started,
I think so.
I was on your show.
20 years, probably.
And I love it.
We have such a good time here. I get to meet the nicest people. I have to say that. I get to meet the nicest people right here on this stage.
You have some nice people.
I do, don't I? I'm so lucky.
And that segment that you had that first started with that whole European diet, I was sitting up there eating a croissant sandwich. You know, I felt so bad. And now I'm going to call this guy and get that recipe. I've got to start going European. Well, no, but a diet is so important to longevity, and it's so important for energy. You know, you need that. If you're going to go out and run, you're going to exercise, you're going to be active.
Don't they carbo load?
Well, you can. I mean, this is kind of short to carbo load. That's more on a marathon, a 26-mile race. But the point of it is you need energy for your body to work well, and you need good foods for it to work in harmony with itself.
Absolutely.
And so here I am munching down on,
but it looked awfly good.
It was tasty.
Yeah, we were trying to get it from him, but he wouldn't give it up. And did I ever tell you my friend from China ran 100 marathons in 100 days?
That's some
consecutive days.
I know her. Yes,
him.
Li
well,
Chu.
Well, I don't know about that one, but this is Jinfei Bao.
Oh, okay.
And he's the one that is a friend of ours, but he ran 100 marathons in 100 days.
That's unbelievable.
In Kunming, yeah.
Boy, I bet he's on the Mediterranean.
And he also ran 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days.
Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's trying to break records.
How do you get energy like that?
I don't know, but he said he lost 20 pounds halfway through the 100.
Yeah, well, you know, our bodies are 70% water.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
drink plenty of water. That's good. But you are into exercising, and yes, nutrition is so important. I agree with you totally on that.
Well, we put on a 10-week program for those people who want to learn how to run.
Yeah.
And actually, we have 3 levels: beginner, intermediate.
Well, you have the
Freihofer
challenge.
Training
too.
challenge. We have that, but we also have the Troy Turkey Trot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We started one in Troy.
Well, good.
And we have 50 people signed up for it.
Good.
So yeah, so it's very important to give that message. So I really feel good about this.
Being healthy is a two-pronged. It has two things that you have to look at: diet and movement.
And regular exercise.
And I say movement because it may not be running a marathon, but it may be just keep active. Right?
It is just keep active.
So, and you're an active man.
I try to.
Yeah, good.
I can't keep up with you though.
It's always good to have George on the show. And please,
so
if you're looking for something to do and to give a little bit back to your community, check out the Troy Turkey Trot. You'll have a good time. Bring the family and just make it an event before, and leave someone home to fix a turkey, unless you want to go out to eat.
You'll be out of there by 10 o'clock.
By 10 o'clock.
Yeah, if you do the 10K.
Yeah,
if you do the 5K, you'll be out of there by 11. Plenty
and you'll
of time.
be in time to get home and smell that turkey.
And you've done something with your family.
Yeah.
How great is that?
How great is that? And
burn some calories.
I like that part.
Give an extra piece of that pumpkin pie.
2 pieces of pumpkin pie.
Yeah, with whipped cream. And you won't feel guilty at all.
Okay, well, we're going to be talking more about food because we're going to be talking with Peter Jones next, and we're going to be talking about Concern for the Hungry and what he's doing to get some meals on the table. 10,000 meals.
That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Stay tuned.
In Bangalore, South India, my husband's family is also very big. In Peterborough, when my husband went to work, the silence gripped me. I wondered, who should I speak to? Day after day, could I call up the few people in the city that we knew? Could I knock on my neighbor's door and say, "Hi, let's have tea together"?
And here we are back again. We're still talking about food. We started out in the Mediterranean diet, talked about running, and now talking about good nutrition. And here we are talking about feeding the hungry. And who was it? One of my guests said, amazing that there was hunger in this.
Yes, I heard him say that. And, hunger's always been around. What people don't understand is you talked about food stamps, and food stamps doesn't pay very much.
I was surprised about that. They said it only gets you through the first 17 days, roughly.
And it's not just the people who are staying home and not doing anything. We have a lot of working poor.
But these are working poor.
People who are making minimum wage, and even though it's gone up, costs have gone up with it. And so there are people who are struggling to make ends meet, and so they have to have a place to live, they have to have heat, and food falls way down on the chain.
Yeah, if you have to cut somewhere, sometimes you think, well, I'll just cut the food.
And they
but
do that.
But nutrition is important. As Lester said earlier, nutrition is very important, and sometimes the foods that are most nutritious are more expensive. So that's what happens. So they end up buying cheap foods, which are empty calories usually.
Right.
Yeah.
And we provide fresh carrots, fresh onions, fresh potatoes, and usually fresh apples. So at least they're getting fresh vegetables as well as canned and, well, just canned, not frozen.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the photos that of previous, if they can bring them up. And there we are. I mean, you're doing this over at Keene School, right?
Right.
Keene Elementary School.
Yep.
And look at those boxes and boxes of things.
So we start out, the boxes start out like they are in the upper left-hand corner. And that's packed, the right-hand upper corner is boxes that have been filled. We do that on the Saturday of the weekend before Thanksgiving.
And I helped with that one year, and
did.
it was an amazing experience.
And so we usually
Yeah, the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts help, yeah.
The Girl Scouts, well, the Boy Scouts do a special drive for us, which I believe
It's
is
collecting
this
food.
weekend. And so we start this weekend sorting the food that they get. And then next Wednesday, we put together our boxes. All those boxes come flat, so we have to tape them. And then on Thursday, we basically set the floor up so that on Friday when we sort, it's in a specific order, and we know how much has to go in each box for the size family we're serving. And then on Saturday, we pack the basket. So
And each basket
And
is
that's
different,
Tyler.
though, right? Each basket is different.
And so each basket is different. It's going to have
Whatever
different
you
foods
got,
in it.
yeah.
It's whatever we get. We have the school systems in the county are having food drives for us. We have 8 healthcare institutions helping us out. My employer, SCAP, has decided to have one this year. Somebody else in the organization did that. So that was very nice, very pleasing for me, because I felt it was awkward for me to say, let's run a food drive when I'm working at a not-for-profit and bring up
I
another
understand
one.
what you're saying. Yeah, it puts you in an odd position. And we were, I guess I misspoke about the number of meals that you fixed. So, and it's my error that I misunderstood.
Well, it's 10,000 servings. So we served 10,000 people, but we signed up 2,016 on the weekend before Thanksgiving. Another 208 signed up last week, and we cut it off on the 4th because we only have a week and a half to order the food.
You have to order the turkeys, right? I mean, those turkeys don't come gobbling into your place.
Well, up until yesterday, we weren't sure where they were coming from, but Walmart stepped up, as they have in the past, gave us a really, really good price.
You have
First
to buy
time they
these.
did
These
it,
are not donated.
some are, but most of them are not. So the mediums and the smalls are taken care of by, we are purchasing from Walmart, and Walmart, the first year they did it, saved us $20,000. The large turkeys are where they're getting donations. Some are coming from the firemen, some are coming from other places, and I heard the Plumbers Union yesterday, so that's always good. And we have a lot of people involved. This is our 39th year. So next year there's going to be celebrations, as well as the celebration that a celebration we never really wanted to have, because our hope back in 1979 was we would alleviate hunger. And that hasn't happened. We have to have the food drive. Our numbers are down from last year, probably maybe about 10%, but it's still there.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things that probably isn't going to go away, you know.
Probably not.
Because we have, I mean, even though employment is up, according to some figures, it may not be the employment that gives you a lot of income.
Right, exactly.
And so, therefore, they have to supplement.
And they do. And, you know, there's food stamps, there's, SCAP was giving out coats this week, and other places give out coats. There's all kinds of places that people can get help.
Yeah.
But they have to make their choices and prioritize what they're going to spend their money on.
Yeah.
And some of them choose to spend it, I mean, you know, buy the fanciest cell phone and things like that, when a lot of people just don't have cell phones, or they have a basic cell phone.
Exactly. Now, talking about, how many volunteers do you need?
Lots. Our biggest need for volunteers this year is on Monday the 19th, when we do the disabled deliveries. One of our big groups that help deliver pulled out this year. So
okay.
we need a lot of people on that day. Wednesday night is one of the biggest days, and Saturday afternoon, because the parade suddenly became the same day as our packing.
I know,
and so a lot of people
there's so
leave.
many things happen on that day.
A lot of people leave, and then Saturday afternoon we need the most volunteers. So that's a good day to come.
So
and
if
help.
they if they contact you through I think I might have had a phone number up there, I'm not sure, but they can go to concernforthehungry.org and get some, there it is, here's your phone number. Is that the correct phone number?
That is the correct phone number. And
So
the
give them a
correct
call
website.
and see if you can't perhaps help them. If you get extra food, where does that go?
Well, what we do, we sort the food out, and we get a lot of stuff that doesn't go in a basket, like cereal and stuff like that. So that is sorted out. And that, plus any leftover food baskets that didn't get picked up for whatever reason, is split between the 16 food pantries in Schenectady County.
Yeah, so you're doing really good.
Everything goes somewhere.
If you want to help out, you can help out financially. They can always help with purchase of turkeys. If you want to help with your labor, they'll be glad to take your labor and help with this. And I have to tell you, it's a great experience to do that, to get out there and work with your fellow citizens and see how great we work together, moving those boxes and putting one to this and that. And it's really a lot. Actually, it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. So I hope you get lots of help, Peter.
I hope so. We've invited all the politicians to come. So
good.
some
Get them
are
working too.
Some are.
Yeah,
and
good.
we hopefully
see how that works out. Good.
I hope so.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Yeah, good. We're going to take another break and talk about bereavement and community hospice. Stay tuned.
To a Canadian, I also look different. Would they care to talk to me? Months went by with these doubts, and the daily silence made me miserable. The little temple I had made at home was my only refuge.
And here we are back again, and with me I have Allison Moran on, and she's a bereavement counselor. What does a bereavement counselor do?
We essentially walk the path of grief with people who are in typically their first 13 months of grieving.
And would that be with the loss of a partner, a loss of a child? Are they different?
Sure, there's certainly a difference between losing a partner and losing a parent in your day-to-day life, but certainly they all hit us pretty deep. So we're here to just help people share what we know, and we have a lot of support groups to give people opportunity to share time together.
Do you find that one-on-one or support groups work better?
Honestly, I think together it works the best. Some people just aren't support group people, and some people just want support groups, but there's different things that you get out of each one. And we find that most people do individual counseling for us for a while and then transition to support groups.
Yeah, because I think sharing what you're going through, maybe you think you're the only one.
Absolutely, especially when you're a child, and that's why we have a whole pediatric bereavement department.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah, for kids it's a lonely experience because you might feel like you're the only one in school who perhaps lost a parent. So we have our special support groups for kids called Wave Riders, and we also have Camp Aaron, which I think we have some
I think
photos
we have a
of.
photo of that. We'll get some of the photos up that, if they hear us, they'll pull it up. There we go. And that's Camp Aaron is what you're talking about?
Camp Aaron's a really
Tell me about that.
So every year, this was our 11th year this year, we bring 60 kids up to the Adirondacks. Are you familiar with Camp Fowler in Speculator, New York?
Sure.
Yeah, so we bring up 60 kids ages 5 to 17, and we give them a fantastic weekend at no cost.
It's a weekend?
Yep, a weekend, Friday through Sunday, and we do in the September. It's a really amazing experience. We really take the loneliness out of grief, and we give kids a chance to just feel like kids again. Kids who've been through some really tough things.
Well, there's a lot of burden that comes with that. Now, I love this photo here with a big heart.
So we do a lot of craft projects particularly our pediatric folks. These are Feely Hearts, if you are familiar with the squeezy ball and how that reduces stress. Same thing with the Feely Heart. So we have a great number of people helping create those. We're also looking for rice bags and quilts and things like that. It goes pretty far.
Yeah, and now You're called community hospice.
You're correct.
So hospice is usually like palliative care, is that correct?
Sure. Palliative care, we usually think of folks with chronic conditions.
Last 6 months of...
Hospice is last 6 months of life. And we're a little hidden gem within hospice. Most people don't know that we have free grief services available to anyone. But we're here. We don't even take health insurance. It's completely at no cost.
No cost?
And you
oh,
don't,
I did not realize
And you
that.
don't even need to be involved with hospice before then. If you experience a sudden loss, for example, you can come on in and still get grief counseling from us.
Yeah. What about, I mean, we talk about a death, but what about a loss of a partner? Like he took off or something and you're into grief.
Yeah.
Is that something that people, I mean, I know that sounds silly, but
it's not. Grief encompasses a lot.
Yeah.
I've certainly grieved when I've made moves I haven't wanted to or during the end of a breakup. For us, we specialize in a death of a loved one. I think most community therapists would be able to handle that.
Something else, yeah. Because when, especially, and there's a difference between a sudden death.
Oh, certainly.
And one, I mean, like we look at these accidents that occurred where, you know, 10 people in the same family.
Absolutely,
you know, and that's sudden.
Oh,
I mean, that happens. I just read about a wedding couple that they got married in Texas. 1.5 hours after their marriage, a helicopter crashed, they died. I mean, it's like those kind of deaths are different than one where the person has languished.
Sure. Yep.
And you're prepared for their death.
And honestly, we certainly work with both types of losses. I don't know that one's better than the other.
Okay.
I think they come with their own stuff, but we're certainly there to attend to both. I'm glad you mentioned those tragedies because we also do crisis calls. If you see, you know, a newspaper article and at the end it says grief counselors are available, that's me and my coworkers.
Oh, okay, because we always wondered, and especially, how important is it for schools to provide grief counseling? I don't know where to go with that because sometimes you hear about a child that committed suicide or a teacher that was killed or a teacher that died suddenly. And then they say grief counselors are available.
That's typically us.
How do the kids react that they need that?
It certainly depends on the individual child, and it depends on how we go about it. Sometimes we'll go into the classrooms and have a group discussion. Sometimes we'll just be available if individual kids want to come in and talk to us.
Just talk to you.
We're also there for the teachers and the staff as well, because it's really the community that's grieving.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it also depends on the age. Obviously, the age that you're grieving at, it manifests differently.
Yeah. So you have I mean, you must have a background in this. I'm going to say. So tell me a little bit about your background.
Most of us are licensed social workers. We also have some licensed mental health counselors on staff. You know, it's a specialty, so it's a lot of learning on the job. But for myself, I'm a social worker who interned in grief counseling, found that I loved it, and then is making a career out of it.
Yeah, so that's really interesting that you found a calling.
Yes, yep. For anyone who works in any part of hospice, it is a calling. It's a really great group to work with.
And how can people get in touch with you?
They can call our main number. Our main office is located in New Carter Road in Albany. It's 518-724-0200.
Repeat it one more time.
518-724-0200. And if folks are interested specifically in our grief counseling, you can go to hospicegriefservices.com.
Yeah, and I think we have that right up there so that they can...
You can find out about anything. You can also fill out an online application there if you'd rather do that than give us a call.
Do you ever need any volunteers?
We do. Hospice itself has an amazing volunteer program. I actually volunteered for 5 years before I was an intern, and I loved it. It's an intensive volunteer program that prepares you for working with our hospice patients and working with our grieving folks as well.
So it encompasses quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you do have an opportunity to find out how you can volunteer.
Absolutely.
But the important thing is, if you know of somebody who's going through a difficult time, they can't seem to get through that one push to get through it. Maybe this is the way to go.
Absolutely.
To get a little counseling.
We all deserve, we deserve somebody to walk this path with us.
Sometimes just somebody to listen to.
Yep, and even if somebody comes in once to say, hey, am I losing it? Is this normal? We're there just to let them know what it looks and feels like, and we're available.
And you get, sometimes if you go to your friend or something and you start, then they may just say, well, you just got to get over it.
We hear that a lot.
And that's not the response that the person wants.
We're an unbiased person who is trained to be able to hold space for grief.
Yeah.
So it's a very different experience talking to us.
And grief is different for everybody.
It's so different. It's a tangled web of probably 1,000 different emotions. So while one person might be more angry, someone else might feel more guilty. It's a lot of different emotions. And we all grieve differently depending on who we are as a person.
And who the person is in your life.
Absolutely, at the relationship. So it looks so different for each person.
Thank you so much,
Allison,
for being on the show and telling our viewers how they can get involved with this, perhaps either by volunteering or else by taking on your services.
Thank you so much.
And are free. How nice that
absolutely.
is. We're going to, and we've been talking with Allison Moran, and she's with the community hospice, and she's a bereavement counselor. So take advantage of that if you know someone who might need that service. Free service. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to find out about solarizing your house. What is that about? Stay tuned.
It has grown at a fast pace. Today, its manufacturing, engineering, education and healthcare industries are growing and employing professionals from all over the world. It is for this reason that a number of Indian professionals have settled in Peterborough in the past decade. Now there are about 400 Indian people living in Peterborough, and I wanted to meet all of them. My husband suggested to me that I meet Dr.
And here we are back again, and with me I have my dear old friend. Should I say that?
Real old.
Real old friends. No, I've known him for quite some time. Dennis Carius. This is the first time he's been on the show, though. He's been involved with Channel Albany, and he's been involved with a number of community action events. But right now we're talking about solarizing the Capital Region, and I need to learn more about this because I don't know, is that expensive? What do we do?
Wow, this is so interesting because we really should have a functional government that doesn't need reform, because solar panels, when you put those on a roof, you get every penny back in like 6 or 7 years from the energy that they collect.
Is that right? 6 or 7 years, yeah.
It really depends. If there's trees up there, I've heard everywhere from 1 year to like 9 years, depending on if there's anything blocking the sun.
And is this something where you can sell the energy back?
Well,
because that's a whole other thing, isn't it?
Right. And you know, it doesn't have to be your roof and my roof. That's the thing. All those schools, those churches, those big business buildings, those malls, you could put solar panels on all of these roofs and in, let's say in 5 or 6 years, get every penny back, and then you can stop climate change. And
I know, that's why we should be using wind and solar.
I know.
Yeah.
Really. And that's the thing, is because maybe like in next year, May, June, or July, I'll even call it global warming. But climate change is ruining our planet. Nobody wants to get behind their car and breathe what's coming out of that exhaust pipe.
Remember when it was really bad before the catalytic converters?
Well, that's it, yeah. Yeah, but this time, if we are getting climate change, it is
the CO2.
Right, human beings are causing it.
Yeah,
if you said 2,000 years ago, I'd say it wasn't us causing it.
No, it is.
Right, and it is happening.
With all the emissions that we have here. So solar, and these are solar panels, and they put them on your roof. Do you pay, or is there a credit, or how does that work?
That's interesting, because the way it used to be, for years, you could just buy the panels yourself, put them on the roof, and then wait for the time to get that money back. But now, there are companies out there that all you have to do is just start with them, and then money might be coming out of your account, like CDTA or whatever, you know, and then money will be going back in with time. So you don't even have to have the panels on your own roof. There are companies.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right?
So you can buy, that's when you can get like that, you sign up to an alternate energy type thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in that, like even National Grid, they have that program, I think, as well, don't they?
Yeah, there are companies that do that. So you don't even have to put panels on your own roof. But what I thought was most interesting, if you get every penny back in 6 or 7 years, our country prints money. When I heard that first time, I said, that's not good, don't print money. But now that's the only reason that we really should be printing money. And right now we're printing not just millions or billions, we're printing trillions of dollars in this country. And the only reason to print it is where you get every penny back in a few years.
Exactly.
And you save our planet from climate change.
Now, you do a TV show as well, don't you? Tell me about your TV show.
Well, we got more than one. We do Solarize, and then, well, I probably can't show everybody, but...
No, it's okay.
Yeah. I do another one, Citizens for
Public Transportation.
Right. And the Solarize Albany, actually, we have a group, Solarize Capital Region.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the Solarize Albany.
Okay, yeah, because I noticed they have a website.
Right, yeah. So those are shows that we're also doing, mostly to save our
Are you
planet.
Creating interest in this, or are people just kind of looking at it and wondering? And because I notice a lot of homes in my area have the solar panels on their roofs.
Right.
And my next door neighbor actually had it on many, many years ago because he worked for General Electric and they were testing some stuff. So
yeah.
And so his is up there. And so
really?
I see that there are homes, but you're absolutely right. We have, I mean, does it? When you talked about malls and things, usually those are flat roofs.
Right.
So can you put a solar panel on a flat roof?
Well,
it doesn't seem like it would get the right amount of sun.
Right, and you're right. There's pluses and minuses as far as where to put the panels. That's why I said if you've got all these trees up there, you don't need to have them, let's say, on my roof or your roof. But there's so many, when you look at those big malls out there, you know, Crossgates Mall, or those churches, schools, big business buildings. There's a lot of roofs out there that have nothing, you know, between that and the sun. So you really could put roofs, I should say put panels on those roofs out there. And again, you get every penny back.
Create energy back, yeah.
Yeah.
Are there such things as solar farms? Like they have wind farms. Do they have solar farms?
Wow. I'm sorry, I can't answer that one.
Okay, I don't know whether they set up a lot of solar panels and stuff and try and do it that way. I don't know. I mean, it would seem to me but you'd have to find the land, right?
Well, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
I really
can't I don't know. It was just something that ran through my mind. I do that quite often.
No, that's great. I really want to thank you, too. I mean, you're saving your planet.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus,
Set up
Neptune.
a colony.
That's right. I want to stay here.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe
well, we have had problems with emissions and a lot of climate change deniers that it's really not happening and Earth will correct itself. No, I mean, the dinosaurs left and they never came back, so it doesn't always correct itself.
That's right.
Not that we want dinosaurs walking around, but the fact is we can exterminate and we can change things.
Well, do you mind if I get to politics?
Sure.
Because
I hate to get into politics today.
Well, I'm not telling anybody who to vote for today.
Yeah, okay.
All I'm saying is, imagine if it used to be the left versus the right, 60 versus 40%, like Democrats versus Republicans. Yeah. There's groups like Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Albany, and they say, no, now it's 99.9% of us being controlled by the upper 1/10 of 1%.
Yeah.
If they're millionaires, then they want to be billionaires. Or,
well, and the fact is, they have, when you get into the business of politics, I'll put it that way, and really I'm not saying one thing or the other, because it's pervasive throughout, no matter what party you're in, it's pervasive to look at what's making money. And if the coal industry is making money or the oil industry is making money, then maybe solar doesn't look so good.
Wow, and that's it. Even if you're, in other words, whoever's paying for these politicians, they could also be paying for mainstream media, which is why I really love your show and even your channel, because if we're ever going to get brainwashed by mainstream media, your channel can tell the truth, you know? And if the upper 1% says no, or up whatever, if they say
whatever,
right?
Who knows? Who's counting?
We need solar panels, but no. But what they'll say is no, you don't. What we need is that oil from the Middle East. Bring it over here. Sell it for $3 or $4 a gallon. But maybe what's going to help us? There's something called peak oil, and it really won't hurt. Solar can replace what we're doing with our oil right now.
Yeah.
And I think the problem. That's why I said, if you tell me if I'm getting too political, but it's called greed. GREED.
Yep.
It's these millionaires who want to be billionaires, or the billionaires who want to be trillionaires.
Yeah, there's just never enough money. I've got to quickly say, and then
yeah.
we'll come back. We'll come back. I want to say who's coming on next week. Next week's show, which is on November the 13th, we're going to have the Animal Protective Foundation on. We're going to have the Cap Rep Theater. They've got a new production coming up, Miss Bennett. And that's kind of an extension of Pride and Prejudice. We're going to have Crossroads Center for Children on, talking about their educational programs and treatment. We're going to have MySci on to talk about their Toys and Trains and Toys exhibit. Proctor's will be on talking about some of their events coming up, and also maybe a little bit of history. And of course, Story Circle at Proctor's will be on the show to talk about Telebration. We've got a great lineup next week, so we're coming right back to you. So, you know, we do a lot on this show.
And you know what? Not just the show. I really want to thank you because this channel, Public Access TV, could be fantastic. If we ever get brainwashed by mainstream media and you turn on Fox News and they say send your troops into Canada, your channel can tell the truth. No, they found oil under the ground up there. Don't do that. So I really want to thank you, not just for your show, but for
channel. What Brendan and Zeb are doing here. Yeah, and there's other public access, and Channel Albany is, of course, just getting back on their feet. So.
And can I ask you, real quick, channels 16, 17, and 18. Now, if I go to channel 15 and press the up button, it just jumps to 19. Why did they disappear?
I guess you're going to have to write a letter.
Wow. Okay.
You've been watching Schenectady Today in and around the Capital Region. Thank you so much for joining us today.